Hello, this is my internal-external communication for USD 314 Brewster. So I decided to use the MindMeister organizational tool. It is a new tool that I had not used before. In my other grad classes, I was introduced to Lucidchart and have a lot of experience with that. I really like the options that Lucidchart gives. But when I started putting information in for the communication, I really wasn't caring for the layout. So I chose to try a different tool, and I really like what MindMeister was able to do with it. This is an overview of all the different communication that takes place at Brewster. So as you can see, there are a lot of different areas, and I just felt like MindMeister was able to lay it out in a nice map that I can then go through individually and explain. So that's what I'm going to do here. So we're going to start with the internal public communication, and that's the communication that takes place within the school. It's communication where we want to have it go on regularly and make people feel like they matter so that they actually work harder and they give a greater commitment to the school itself. So the first group is students. This is actually the biggest point of communication, I feel like, inside our building, just because there's so many areas that students have communication. First off, face-to-face. That is key because students have face-to-face communication with teachers and staff every day, whether it's in the classroom or in the hallways. They also communicate with other students, and that seems to be the strongest. If you want to get a message to students, that is what we aim for, is the face-to-face. We also have email. We have a school-wide system set up, and so our students are all assigned individual school emails. K through 12 have them, and we use that email address to send students any notices. Teachers may do it individually to notify kids on projects or, tests or anything if they need something. And then students can email each other because they have that school email. We don't really use outside emails, or we don't prefer them, but some students are just used to their regular email, so they kind of share between the two. Students also have messaging options. We do have a school messenger that students can put their phone number in, and it will send out a text. It will also call and send out an email if they choose, to notify them of if we have snow days or if there's a change in a ball game, or just any kind of big event going on. They can be notified that way. Some teachers and coaches prefer to text, and that's just kind of up on a personal preference, so that can be used. And then we do have an intercom system where students can be paged, or the intercom can be used to notify students when we have any type of emergency drills. Then we have the digital apps. Facebook Messenger, I don't see that used a lot, but I know there are a few parents and teachers that can involve their student in that and communicate with them. And then a lot of coaches choose to use Remind, the Remind app, and that's just to notify students of any leave times for games or changes in practice schedules and things like that. We also have PowerSchool, and that is where we track our grades and attendance. And so students have their own login and can look at their grades through PowerSchool. And then because of COVID-19, with our distance learning, we also started the Google Classroom, and so students had access to that as well. Then we do printed materials. We send out quarterly grades. We also hand out pink slips on Wednesday mornings for anyone that has 3 or more tardies, so they have a detention. And then any of our organizations or activities in school, such as student council or NHS, they will a lot of times hand out or tape to their locker a printed note about an upcoming meeting. All right, our second group in the internal public is the faculty. And so just like with the students, face-to-face is huge. I did split the faculty into 2 parts, administration and staff. And that was just because there are some differences in their communication on how they do things. With administration, they have morning meetings with just their group, including maintenance. It includes technology, and then just the secretaries in the office. They all meet together and have a morning meeting to go over anything important for the day or anything upcoming. Administration does use email to send out to all the staff on issues or individual staff members if they have something they want to share. Email is the preferred and probably the strongest communication there. There is some printed materials that are related to school improvement or any in-services, maybe our DLT meetings that we have. If something needs to be printed and shared, that will be done. And then administration uses the school website, and that's where they post any important information. Also, we had the community Zoom meetings while we were shut down, and so we used the school website to post those so the community that couldn't make it or the parents that couldn't make it could go back and view it. Staff kind of follows the same thing. They do face-to-face a lot because we see each other being in the same building. We do email as well. And email and phone, we can phone the other classrooms during the day. So we'll do that if we're having a student leave one class and go to another. But we'll use email and phone as well when it's after school hours and we need to touch base with another staff member. Sometimes the staff wants to send out something to the rest of the faculty and they'll just print it out and stick it in our mailboxes. And then we also use PowerSchool as a communication tool to where we post our grades, we post attendance, and we can also add any comments that we might have for individual students. Our third group of internal public is the Board of Education. They are huge on face-to-face. That is the number one option that they prefer, although we have had to go to Zoom meetings, so online meetings have been a more regular thing here lately. They've been nice for those board members that can't always make the meetings. The board does use the school website to post their minutes or any updates that they would like to share. That's also where you can find out who our board members are, is on the school website. And then in the past, the Board of Education members have used phone calls to contact staff if there were any concerns or any questions they had either before or after a meeting, and they would call those staff members individually. And then the next group, we have a sports cooperative with USD 275, and our fall and winter sports are combined. So we have the face-to-face when we have practices and games. We also trade off every other day on where we have practice, and so that we use phone and email as updates on that. There's about a 30-mile difference between the two schools, and so if there's a change in practice time or if weather's the concern or something like that, usually phone call or email will be sent out letting everyone know of whatever changes are made. And then we do utilize the school website to post practices, their location and times, and also any games that we have. And then our last group that's an internal public is actually our daycare. We have a local daycare that rents out one building or one room within our building. And so even though they are not actually associated with the school, they are there within our building and do have communication with us. So a lot of that communication takes place through phone because we want to still keep that separation there, phone or email. But there is some face-to-face because the daycare does utilize our gymnasium and our playground. And so there will be some communication on that. And then the daycare has a local their own Facebook page where they can update parents of information going on within that facility. So that's the internal public. Like I said, face-to-face is the biggest thing just because we are all around each other and it just makes it easier that way. Our other side of communication is the external public. And the first and main part of that is with parents and family. I put those together because we do have grandparents or aunts and uncles that live with the family. So the dynamic does kind of change, I guess. There is face-to-face, of course, that takes place through parent-teacher conferences or, individual conferences that might need to happen. Parents and parents are always welcome up to the school as well if they have any concerns. We do email and phone or text that can be school-wide or that can be individual with parents and teachers. I feel like the strongest here is the email. I think the majority of teachers prefer that method. And actually, a lot of parents do as well because they don't want to receive a phone call during work where they can't answer it. They like the email that they can get back to when it's convenient for them. We do printed materials, sending out those quarterly grades. We also send out notices related to absences, tardies, if they have a lunch balance due or maybe an overdue library book. So those will be either handed to the students to take home or mailed out. And then PowerSchool, parents have their own login and access to their students' grades and attendance and any comments made there. The second external public is the community. So I split it into two parts, just individual community members. A lot of our community is older, and so face-to-face is very key here. That's how we keep the most communication going. We do utilize phone and email when possible, but face-to-face is very strong within them. Then the other part of the community is our local businesses. I included the grocery store because we do have classes that go down and maybe have an activity at the grocery store, or we might send students down to work there part-time. The same with the co-op and the bank, we do some business there. And so phone is most common communication with them. But of course, when we go down to the building, face-to-face will happen as well. And then the internet provider is the main one that we either use phone or email with. And that's if we need anything updated on our internet or if there's any kind of concerns there, we will contact them that way. We do have local organizations in town, the Lions and Beta Clubs. Our local churches, they actually do a backpack program where they provide food for the weekends and on breaks for students. And then our local senior center, where NHS and Student Council do things with them. So face-to-face, again, is huge with those local organizations. The Lions Club actually invites our school and many of our activities in to present to them. And they're huge supporters of our music and arts program. And so we'll do face-to-face during their meetings. And then we'll do phone calls as well to set things up when it's convenient. Also within our local organizations is our law enforcement. So that includes the sheriff department and the county attorney. Because we are a rural school, we don't really have local law enforcement other than the sheriff. And we do a lot of communication with them, face-to-face, phone, and email. And then the Thomas County Community Foundation, that one we do phone and email through, and that's where we get a lot of our grants for our playground. When we put in our clean water system for our new water fountains, we did phone and email on that for the grants as well. All right, and then our last external public communication is the State Department of Education, and that will either be phone or email. That's the most preferred, but there is some printed materials when the State Department sends it to us, and then we have to share it with others. All right, thank you.